Namaskar. The most important day in terms of clearing CA inter exams is today, because tomorrow we have auditing exams. So as always, we bring in extremely useful interventions to help our students. Now, right now we have Dikshita, who is working on the insights which she has picked up after talking with all the students here. So we are currently generalizing the top 3 problems and also working on the potential solutions for this. Now, apart from this, what we are going to do now is how to process question paper of May 24 based on Dikshita's personal experience, so that it will be helpful and useful to do it tomorrow while you go and write the exam. And for you to get a context of what we've done, the costing paper analysis which we did were extremely helpful to navigate through the question paper. So we're doing a similar thing for audit. Okay. Now Hari can probably position it here this way. So Pranti, what are the challenges which you are currently facing?
So able to retain the answers at right amount of time with the right time, that's the main problem.
So retention is you have to work on the retention,
yes,
because you want to replicate in the exam. I hope what are the challenges you have?
Same retention and speed.
Speed and retention. You're not able to write with retention or speed. Okay.
I need and have to go and content.
Yeah, understood. So for you, you have to bulk up the content. Sadak?
Flow of keywords so that I can elaborate the answer more.
Yes.
Flow of the keywords. If I'm able to link the keywords, I will definitely elaborate the answer.
Right. So you might be wondering, how can we have so many problems one day before the exam? Now if you ask Dikshita, she has cleared, she's working with Deloitte, she still has problems. So the idea is not about solving the problems entirely, they'll never get solved. The idea is all about, irrespective, in spite of the challenges you have, what is it you are going to do in the limited time available. That's the reason why we keep everything open, and there are more problems than what they are quoting, but still there is a chance that they might clear. Even if you don't have any problems, still you may not clear. So we don't know what exactly might happen, but we are looking at how to optimize the remaining time. Okay. In general, for all of you, the first thing which you have to understand is, it's no longer a thinking game. It's done. Okay. It's no longer a thinking game. You have to continuously put your pen into work. Like the way you move your eyes, the way you have to move your hand that way. Right from today. Start writing. Start writing right from today. It's a bit energy exhaustive. You'll feel like you'll feel tiredness very soon. You'll feel your hand is aching. But if you do this, you'll be able to quickly switch on to this mode in tomorrow's exam. If you don't do this, what happens is the first 1 hour gets killed. I think you faced the same thing in costing. Like, if you notice, irrespective of the insights you get directly from Dikshita, still when you go and actually do it, there's a gap, right? So the idea is to reduce the gap and reduce the lag to the maximum extent possible, especially for auditing, because there is no one single sum which occupies a lot of things. The problem which you faced yesterday, you're not going to face in auditing because it's not number driven. You know, you don't know. What is the biggest problem? Are you writing a relevant answer? Are you understanding the question in the right sense? Are you writing the right answer for the wrong question or the wrong answer for the right question? So this is exactly what we have to largely avoid. So rule number 1, you have to attempt the entire paper. You have to attempt the entire paper, 100 marks. I'm telling you, 100 marks. You'll clear only if you attempt 100 marks, and there is no freaking excuse for not attempting the paper in auditing. For other things you can say lengthy or something, auditing is always lengthy because each question is for only 5 marks. So you have to write minimal content which will give you maximum outcome. Okay? So one is about attempting the whole of the paper. Now, the biggest problem which comes to you is question selection. Because for you to select a result, you have to go through each and everything. Unlike costing, where you say, okay, this is from job costing, this is from process costing, I know, I don't know. No, this is not like that. For you to know or no, you don't know, you have to get into the core of the question. So you have to focus on question processing. Today that's what we are focusing on. You have to quickly process the questions. Okay? So now we'll start with the exercise as I'm speaking. Go to this question paper. Go to question number 6 directly. It is the actual question paper. All of you have written with you. Either red pen or highlighted, one of them you should have. Red pen is there? Okay, start processing the question. When I talk about question processing, what you're supposed to do is, there is so much matter in the question. What exactly is the crux of the question? Out of this 10 lines, you have to figure out 1 line which is the core of the question. Start focusing on that. I go find out for question 6D. What is the crux of the question? Go to the last one. Last page. You should go to 60. 6D last. 6D. Lay down. what is the core of the question? What are the crux of the question? Identify the question, all of you. What exactly? Rewrite the question in single sentence. Rewrite the question in one line. Write it technically, write it. You should start with the end. Always start the question from the end. Otherwise, waste a lot of time. Understand what is being asked, then figure out. Start the question with the end. Then with it, start rewriting. Once you understand, start rewriting the question in a single line. One single sentence is how we have to rewrite the question. One single sentence. Rewrite the question in a single sentence. Is it done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Francie?
So they asked what is the categories that are based on release and
Okay, so it's at a very simple level. What is the kind of lead agreement? What chapter is this?
Because like auditing financial.
So this is exactly the first thing which will hit the mind. When you look at a question, don't get over absorbed into this. Figure out the trigger. Figure out the trigger and link it to a particular chapter. Now that linkage should go and touch your index. Where are your indexes? Index. That should go and touch your index. Okay. So you should be able to go and correlate the question which you see here with something here. Okay. It should be linked to the index. This particular line should be linked with the index. Unless you do that, it will be very hard for you to answer the paper within time. Otherwise, your answer will be vague. Okay, this is the challenge. Every question should be converted into a single line, then link it with the index in your mind. This is exactly what we'll make you do today. Is that clear? Okay. Now over to Dikshita. Dikshita, you start explaining what exactly you noticed. So Dikshita has had one-to-one conversations with all the kids, and then she figured out these are the most important problems which have to be worked upon. So she has written both problems and solutions. This is the concept in approach. What is the problem? What is the solution? That is exactly how you have to do anything. Go ahead, Dikshita, always.
Okay, the first problem that everyone faces is retention of keywords, and some places retention of the whole content. Sometimes you might know the answer, you miss out a keyword. That's different versus not remembering the content.
Right.
So for that, I felt like making mind maps of each chapter or each standard. So when they take 500 series, they should know okay, 500, 501, 505. So getting mind maps of these which with the keywords. I think concise mind maps, they can refer to index mapping as well because index mapping helped me with like chapters like risk assessment. So that will help them getting back to the keywords. So if they need a quick revision or anything, when they have the mind maps with them, or they need that revision material for the retention of keywords. The more they keep seeing,
right. At least for some chapters, let's say 10 standards, you need to have this. Again, you might be wondering one day before the exam, do you have the time? One day before the exam is where you have to improve. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. If something has to be improved, you have to improve. We're not going to do everything, but probably for 10 standards, we'll do single page summary charts, out of which we are expecting 40 marks. We should be able to concise 40 marks into 10 pages. Now we can also use the pre-existing charts from Dikshita. We have a lot of existing material, but I'm trying to tell you what to focus upon. This is nice. Where you're not looking at text, but you're looking at charts where things are packeted. Okay, done.
Yeah.
Next.
And then not telling the questions if they're not sure about it, or writing very minimalistic answers in the sense that they either don't attempt it, or if they attempt it, it's just like for the sake of it, for points. So for that, they need more question solving practice, which will also help in their presentation. They have to write more, but also to the point. So that they have to improve by question solving practice. And some places they will ask very general questions. Some it might not be very chapter specific or concept specific. So when general questions come, you should understand the way they want you to answer or what they want you to focus on. So that also, while solving the questions, processing of question is important. What they are targeting on, whether it's the materiality or if they want something else, we need to know what they want from us. So that question processing also should be done.
Yeah, this is the important aspect. This is a very, very important part. That's what I was discussing. So unless you process the question properly, it becomes very hard for you to, understand what is being asked. You will write a relevant answer. Okay. This is something which we can fix today. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. And again, we don't focus on useless confidence. We focus on building competence. So don't let this, because you have to keep improving until you sit in the exam paper. If you go with confidence without confidence, you'll come back with that 20s and 30s. Confidence is practically useless without competence. Okay, don't worry about how you are feeling. Focus on how much you know. Focus on how you are going to clear the exam. Okay, is this clear? Done. Quick insight from your approach to the paper. So this is a question paper which came to your hand last time when you went to the exam center. The way you explained it for costing yesterday.
Yeah.
The moment it came, what did you do first? Do it exactly.
Okay. So.
You flipped it.
Yes.
This time also.
Yeah.
Yesterday she flipped it. Started from question number 6. Now what is the reason behind starting from behind?
It's the same theory for all the papers because question 1 is compulsory. It's not that you have a choice to leave it. So looking at that would take away my time for deciding which order I want to attempt the questions. So when question 1 is already compulsory, I'll start from the 6th question to determine which order I'm going to write. So for this question, I remember I looked at question 6 and I didn't know last 2 bits, so I left this question. Out of like 12 marks, I thought I'll only be able to score 4.
So even you did not even process it. Okay, so
I saw the questions.
you saw the question. Once you know that you can't answer more than half of the question, it's better not to process in the first 15 minutes at least, right?
Yeah.
So
I left this question, 6th question. I left.
It took 1 minute for you to leave.
Yeah.
Selection or elimination?
Yeah.
Okay. Elimination should be happening faster. Selection might take some time. Done.
Then
Next.
question 5.
You keep looking at the questions. You keep looking at the questions.
So question 5. So what you have to figure out in these reading and the theory chapters is which chapter the question is coming from. If you identify the concept and then if you know those. So this says the Companies Act and it's asked, this asks for the provisions for issue of shares and discounts. This is for shares and debentures chapter. So if you do know the answer, if you're confident of the chapter, then proceed with it. The same for all the bits. So first step of processing is you should know which chapter the question comes from and what you need to answer. So if you understand that, then you're good to go. If you're not able to figure out which chapter it comes from, or very generic, that's a red flag.
So initially, even for you to process, you should be able to identify which chapter it is.
Yes.
If you're not able to do that, it's not worth putting that time in there.
Yeah.
So 5th question, what do you do?
5th question I did the same. Here I figured out that this was from shares and debentures. This was from PPE, which is nothing but your financial statements, audit of financial statements. Then this was another one related to professional ethics.
So now you're able to correlate.
Yeah.
Did you process it further or did you just move on?
I just moved on. This in places where there are bits. I went through the bits because this will be
adjustments and
oriented. Like it might depend. Your last 2 bits also might depend on the first bits.
Right.
So you see whether you're able to answer this or not. But very quick processing.
Couple of minutes, maybe.
Yeah,
2 minutes. So 1 minute for elimination, 2 minutes for selection.
Yeah.
So question 6 and question 5 is done. 5 you chosen to write.
Yeah.
Next.
Then I came back to question 4. Question 4 again, I was figuring out whether I should write or not. The first one felt easy because it came from risk assessment, so I thought I would go. Second one was which chapter? Yeah, this is the auditing principles chapter. This was also good. And the third bit is the place where I was not confident. This was the question I thought I wouldn't be able to answer, so I put this on a standby. So now my choice is between either question 6 or question 4 because both of them were in the same state. So I put these 2 on standby. But here one advantage is I knew two bits, there I didn't know 2 bits.
Right.
So I again put every marks.
So out of bitwise marking instead of the whole thing. Whatever it
in
is.
question 4 it's like 4, 4, 3. I said like I'll only get 5 to 6 here.
Right.
There I would only get 4. So every question I put how many marks I would get. After that, the highest marks I used to order it.
So
Then,
let's say quick question here. If there is 6 plus 6 versus 4 plus 4 plus 4, what is the better one? Like between writing 2 bigger questions versus 3 smaller questions, what do you think would give you more score? If you are of the average same quality.
personally, it differs, but with this lot, I would say 4 plus 4 plus 4.
Smaller bit.
Because they are not able to
Expand
the questions.
Right. One important point to note, because you're writing only so much content, better to pick up shorter questions so that meets the requirement. Good. Next.
Then I came to question 3, which the same procedure I followed for choosing the questions. So when the 6th and the 4th question itself I was not too confident about it, I went to question 1. Question 1 seemed doable, so that I marked in the order of doing. I think I attempted question 1 as my second question. Because question 1 was, I knew almost all the bits. And question 1 they give 4 bits.
Right.
That is where they give 4, 4, 3, 3. The other ones they'll just give 3 bits or that answer even given 4 bits. So that is how you order it. And again, the same strategy. First 1.5 hours you're given for your theory, and MCQs in theory subjects are actually a boon because they're more easier to attempt. I mean, they're not even time consuming as much as it's time consuming for practical subjects. So after the 1.5 hour timeline, go back to your MCQs. That gives you a confidence boost. Again, come back. In the last 1 hour, the speed also needs to improve. Another one, your speed also.
So what do you do? How should they improve speed in two aspects? One is processing. Okay, how do they improve the processing speed? Another one is presentation, writing. So how do they improve this? This is thinking. Processing is thinking. So what should they do tomorrow so that they get the entire 100 marks? What should be done?
I would say when the presentation part comes, there should be no thinking put to it. What I'm telling is, before writing or even while choosing the question, you should have a certain idea of how to start the answer. Not when you are starting to answer, that is not when you have to think. So when you are reading the question and think, write points, keep processing. So you should know how to start an answer, and you should have a flow. Not in the middle of the answer where you are putting time into thinking what to write, what not to write. That's when you know that's not the question you have to.
Should it from that side?
That's when you know that's not the question you have to attempt it first. So start with the ones that goes free flow. And for that free flow, your processing has to be done proper. So it's okay to invest time in processing rather than directly starting, because that will result in more scratches or more nasty presentation.
This is a very important part, because even if you don't do any mistakes, the quality of the answers will go very low. You have a specific problem in this regard. You have to be extremely careful. Before you put it, you need to know what you are writing. Again, remember, before you write, you should know what you are writing, not writing some random shit and realizing what you are writing. If you are writing that your paper is gone, please understand. This is a very, very big red flag. Please understand, before you put in the first letter, the first word, as rightly said, you should know what you are going to write. Okay? This is important. Okay, so to quickly summarize, we just shared the problems and solutions, and apart from that, number one, we are starting the paper from the back because question 1 is compulsory, not crossing it. That is one sorted. Next, each and every question, either selection or elimination. Let's say she just realized out of 3 bits, she doesn't know 2 bits. So there's no point in sitting on that question. So just move on. And then between question number 2 questions which you know equally well or do not know equally well, that is the point where you go ahead with bit-wise marking, have estimated bit marks, and also while reading the sub question, if there are some adjustments or points, put in extra time to know whether you know it or not. Otherwise, you can correlate to the chapter and keep moving on. And finally, most important, MCQs are best solved between 330 to 4. That is a sweet spot. Because once you solve MCQs, you'll also get some points from that. So that way, if you're not getting a lot of points, if you do only 2 questions, solve MCQ from 3 to 330 itself. Okay? But first one now, 2 questions completely you should write, and then be aware of the mistake which you have done in the previous paper. I'm not expecting you not to make mistakes. I'm expecting you to learn from the mistake and not repeat. Okay? So for all those who have questions, doubts and auditing, watch this video, understand it. It's a deep video which you may not be able to understand by watching once. Watch it once or twice. Don't get carried away with fancy subtitles and music. This is not a movie. So please understand this is hardcore content. Your ability to process videos like this will give you an edge. Okay? So put that mental effort to understand what we have discussed and implement it. You will see a clear-cut improvement of 8 to 10 marks. Okay? This is exactly what we're looking at. All the very best, and most importantly, process May 24 paper. The same question won't be asked. Still, you'll know what exactly is the intent of the ICA. May 24 actual question paper. Put at least half an hour on this. Okay? Thank you guys for recording this. Thank you, Dikshit, for sharing your insights.